Well, this will hopefully be a shorter video. A response to Matt on the subject of money in the Federal Reserve. You almost had it. I mean, you had a little phrase in your video, and it's, you know, money represents, this paper stuff. It, I like to say it represents blood, sweat, and sacrifice. And instead of "In God We Trust," that's what we should have written on money. And instead of pictures of, I mean, it's nice to have the founding fathers, maybe, but we should have maybe 20 pictures on a bill, and they should be of workers and people who have built, who have produced, who have been productive, who have sacrificed to give that piece of paper value. And so it would be great if our money looked like something else than a pretentious piece of government crap, and that it actually inspired people to take it seriously and understand what it really represents. People do die at work. People are ruined at work. Families are harmed by work, in the sense that there are children that suffer deprivations because the parents aren't there to care for them, because they have to work. So it should be taken seriously. It should be understood for what goes into that. But people don't, it's never obvious to people. I mean, I always found it ironic that people wear diamonds as adornment. And what is a diamond? Is stupid fucking rock that for hundreds of years people have climbed miles down into the earth in little tiny caves, 25 inches high, crawled through the ground in 120 degree heat to chip this little stupid rock out of the ground so some bitch can wear it. I mean, it's just so ludicrous when you think about the values in that. When you think about people dying in the underground so they can wear this as adornment, it's so insulting, to what went into it, to the sacrifice. I mean, if we were using the diamond for progress and to serve mankind, that would be great. But no, instead the diamond is preposterously overvalued because it's a piece of fucking jewelry. And we do the same thing with gold to some extent. I mean, a lot of gold is just hanging around somebody's neck, or it's in a vault somewhere, so it's all overpriced. So we certainly don't want our money tied to the value of gold. I don't think we don't want any gold standard. Frankly, we don't want any standard. And so your whole fear of the Federal Reserve, I don't like, Federal Reserve, but this isn't some kind of foreign entity that has taken control. It's completely controlled by the Senate, the Congress, and the President of the United States. They put people on the board. I mean, it's, our democracy can take care of the Federal Reserve tomorrow if it wants to. And when you look at the chairmans and the people on the Federal Reserve, they're not zillionaires. I mean, there's certainly always wealthy people, but there's wealthy people all throughout government. And these bankers, as you call them, well, the richest people in the world are investors, and they're invested in a lot of things. And yes, they invest in banking. They invest in usury and exploitation of people who need to borrow money, and that's a game we play. It's a game you would think, it's probably family-owned businesses are probably banks, and you think that's just fine. They should just inherit that, be nobles. They inherit the banking money too, Matt. Most of the, inheritance rich, a lot of them have gained some of that wealth through banking, and that's what all these businesses are. All these entities, as you see as some sort of draconian evil, is the same evil I was telling you. It's the people who are inheriting the wealth. So get real. These are investors. The richest people in the world aren't necessarily just bankers. I go down the list. They're families, and they've made a huge success in one business, got a huge, gigantic payoff that'll last for theoretically centuries. I mean, there's still Getty money floating around. I mean, this stuff's going to be around forever. I mean, people they can't lose it. They have so much of it. But anyway, that's not my point. The point is that you make no argument. You just, it's just this rhetoric. It's just this. It's like you buy these one-liners, this stuff that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't say anything. I mean, Federal Reserve, bankers. Well, you've got to define this entity. You've got to define how. Like I said, that we've got a president, a Congress, and a Senate that all approve these people, all approve this system. And I wouldn't mind getting rid of the Federal Reserve and going back to a system where the government just prints the money. And if we need more money, we just print more money, creating inflation, which everybody has to pay for. And so people will be encouraged not to vote for an overspending budget, because they'll know it's going to directly create inflation, because all the money they have in their pocket will be devalued if we spend too much money. And the very idea of the government borrowing money it doesn't appeal to me at all. Hell with it. Just print money. Borrow it, and hell with that. So anyway, that's I guess the extent of my point. I mean, I'm not an economics expert either, but I'm smart enough to know that you have to make an argument. You can't just call something the boogeyman and not describe exactly how he functions and what exactly the threat is, because I don't see it. The Federal Reserve is just a stupid mechanism, and that's all it is, but it's not doing anything. It's not controlling the world. The rich people are controlling the world. The inheritance rich.